If I told you your birth date might make you one of the selected ones, what then? This is not only another flimsy study of numerology or astrology. We are about to start a deep journey that might change your perspective on your place in the universe. Get ready for an eye-opening encounter that will test received wisdom and maybe change your perspective on personal destiny. The idea of chosen people has been firmly ingrained in our collective consciousness over human history, across every nation and society. From modern spiritual leaders to ancient mystics, the belief that some people are born with a specific mission has endured millennia. However, this was not only religious doctrine or folklore. What if there was something more weighty to this ageless conviction? Your birth date is far more than just a day from the calendar at random. Many civilizations all around consider it as a cosmic fingerprint, a distinctive mark with hints of your potential and the direction of your life. Whether viewed through the prism of ancient astrology, contemporary numerology, or many spiritual traditions, the day you entered this life has great meaning beyond simple chance. We will look at how these several systems understand birth dates and what they expose regarding personal destinies. We will explore basic but difficult questions. What does it actually mean to be chosen? Is it maybe both at once, a burden and a blessing? Most importantly, too, how can you find out whether you are among these unique people? These call for thorough research and an open mind, not easy yes or no questions. This road promises to be illuminating whether your belief is in spiritual destinies or just someone curious about other points of view. As we probe further, we will look at specific instances of spiritually important birth dates and their meanings. You will discover particular dates that have long been regarded as lucky or significant in many different cultures. Though some dates may be especially important, each person has the capacity for spiritual development and influence. Though it doesn't predetermine your path, your birth date can provide insightful analysis of your path. This research is not about establishing hierarchies or implying some life is more valuable than others. Rather, it's about appreciating the special abilities and difficulties everyone adds to the fabric of life. Understanding the larger background of what it means to be selected helps us to value our particular responsibilities in the great scheme of things. It's about intention, accountability, and the possibility to significantly change the world, not about ego or status. Divine selection across cultures, appreciating spiritual calling through history. From ancient times, the idea of divine selection has been a pillar of spiritual and religious philosophy, showing itself in many different forms throughout civilizations and ages. Ancient scriptures from many traditions tell of prophets and seers especially selected for great tasks. Moses leading his people to freedom, Buddha attaining enlightenment and teaching the road to liberation, Joan of Arc receiving divine visions to guide her nation. These people were more than just historical icons. They were archetypes of selected people who closed the distance between the divine and mankind. Many traditions see chosen ones as messengers or middlemen with special insights, skills, or obligations that distinguishes them from others. Native American societies honor medicine men and women who, by spiritual selection, acquire visions and healing powers. Certain people are called to become griots in African traditional religions. They are keepers of oral history and spiritual wisdom. While Western mysticism talks of saints and mystics who keep a direct contact with the divine, Eastern philosophies recognize enlightened beings who act as guide for other spiritual travels. Still, being chosen isn't always shown as a privileged position. Think of the weight these spiritual leaders bear. Moses battled ongoing rebellion from his followers. The Buddha gave up worldly pleasures. Joan of Arc suffered persecution for her visions. Their selected position shows that spiritual selection sometimes requires sacrifice and resilience, since it brings great purpose as well as great challenges. Consistent across cultural narratives is this duality, the simultaneous blessing and burden of being chosen. One should realize that being selected does not mean one is better than others. Rather, it points to a particular function or goal within the great fabric of life. According to some spiritual traditions, each person is selected in their own manner with a different purpose to serve. According to the Hindu idea of dharma, for example, everyone has a holy obligation to carry out independent of their apparent importance or scope. Likewise, many indigenous societies hold that every creature has a role that adds to the balance of the earth. We must keep this larger view as we keep discovering the relevance of birth dates and their possible spiritual consequences. Choosing is about accepting the responsibility that comes with realizing one's particular position in the universe, not about surpassing others. This knowledge enables us to approach the idea of spiritual selection with humility and intention, stressing the influence we can create instead of any supposed status. The real test of being selected is not in special privileges, but rather in the will to serve a greater good and help to improve the surroundings. Cosmic blueprints, deciphering astrology's revelations on spiritual direction. Astrology presents a sophisticated framework for comprehending how celestial bodies at the moment of birth might affect a person's spiritual path and potential. This age-old practice reveals complex links between planetary positions and human traits, implying that the alignment of stars and planets at our birth generates a cosmic blueprint for our spiritual development. Far beyond basic sun signs, thorough astrological study takes into account several layers of celestial influence, each adding to a unique picture of a person's spiritual nature. Astrological interpretation derives from the sun sign, which stands for basic identity and purpose. But equally important are the effects of other planets. Mercury controls communication and intellectual interests. Venus watches relationships and values. Mars guides energy and drive. Jupiter increases wisdom and faith. Saturn organizes discipline and teachings. Uranus inspires invention. Neptune deepens spirituality. Pluto changes consciousness. The placement of each planet in particular zodiac signs and houses produces different combinations that either shape spiritual potential or challenges. Some astrological configurations thought to indicate increased spiritual awareness or leadership ability particularly fascinate me. Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. These naturally occurring empaths or healers often produce people with great emotional sensitivity and intuition, often producing charismatic leaders able to inspire others on their spiritual paths are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. While earth signs Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn produce practical mystics who ground spiritual ideas in tangible reality, air signs Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius tend to inspire intellectual seekers who question accepted truths. Modern astrological methods expose even more subtle spiritual indicators. Harmonious aspects between spiritually important planets like Neptune, higher consciousness, and Jupiter, wisdom, with personal planets such as the Sun, identity, or Moon, emotions, often suggest natural spiritual gifts. Chiron, so named for the wounded healer of Greek mythology, can suggest someone meant to turn personal tragedies into sources of healing for others. Moreover, the lunar nodes, places where the moon's orbit crosses the ecliptic, offer understanding of karmic patterns and spiritual development over lifetime. Spiritual expression is much enhanced by the rising sign, sometimes known as ascendant, which shapes how one's inner spiritual nature shows up on the outside world. Midheaven, standing for public image and career, demonstrates how professional activities could help to realize spiritual intent. Though far off and apparently small, fixed stars, sometimes indicating great spiritual potential or challenges, add extra layers of meaning when matched with key points on the birth chart. Astrologers also take into account the significance of timing through transits and progressions, the continuous movement of planets in relation to a birth chart. These dynamic influences suggest that spiritual development unfolds according to cosmic rhythms rather than linear progression, so triggering periods of great spiritual growth or transformation. Particularly affecting personal planets, eclipse cycles sometimes coincide with major spiritual awakenings or changes in consciousness. Although some people would write astrology off as simple superstition, its sophisticated symbolic interpretation appeals to millions of people all around. Modern practitioners create a potent instrument for self-discovery and spiritual development by combining conventional methods with modern psychological insights. The birth chart becomes a map of possible energies and tendencies that can be deliberately worked with and changed, not a fixed determinant of fate. The heart of astrology's continuing attractiveness in spiritual inquiry is this dynamic interaction between cosmic influence and personal agency, unlocking life path numbers and spiritual potential, numerical significance. By means of birth dates, numerology offers a remarkable mathematical method to grasp spiritual potential. It also provides exact calculations that expose deeper understanding of one's life purpose. Fundamentally, numerology lowers birth dates to single-digit numbers known as life path numbers, each with unique vibrational frequencies and spiritual meanings. Sum all digits of your birth date until you get a single digit to determine your life path number. Someone born on October 27th, 1985, for instance, would calculate 1 plus 0 plus 2 plus 7 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 5 is equal to 33, then 3 plus 3 is equal to 6, so determining a life path number 6. Every path of life corresponds to particular spiritual qualities and possible destinies. Often acting as change agents, number 1 people reflect leadership traits and pioneer new spiritual paths. Acting as link between several spiritual points of view, 2s have diplomatic skills and shine in cooperative spiritual work. 3s direct creative energy into spiritual expression, so transforming into powerful communicators of metaphysical ideas. 4s provide solid bases for spiritual development and provide ordered means of illumination. 5s give spiritual development transforming force and reflect freedom and adaptability. 6s naturally gravitate toward caring roles, helping others to develop spiritually by kindness and compassion, often turning into scholars of esoteric knowledge. 7s seek thorough analytical understanding of spiritual secrets. 8s master material success while preserving spiritual integrity, so showing how to balance earthly successes with greater purposes. 9s go through whole spiritual learning cycles and show up as humanitarian leaders and wise teachers. Beyond these basic counts, numerology identifies 3 master numbers, 11, 22, and 33, with enhanced spiritual power, often marking people as sensitive receivers of cosmic wisdom. 11 stands for spiritual insight and intuition. 22 helps its carriers to manifest big-scale spiritual projects by combining practical ability with spiritual vision, often indicating someone meant to uplift mankind by compassionate action. 33 reflect the best expression of spiritual service. Numerologists also look at other important numerical trends in birth dates. Repeating numbers like 11 to 11 or July 7th suggests enhanced spiritual vibrations. Master number combinations like 29 to 11, where 2 plus 9 is equal to 11, indicate layered spiritual potential. Through their mathematical resonance, month-day combinations that cut to master numbers, like April 29th, for plus 2 plus 9 is equal to 15, 1 plus 5 is equal to 6, create unique spiritual signatures. Although numerology offers insightful analysis of spiritual potential, it's important to realize that these numbers reflect possibilities rather than set destines. They highlight areas of natural strength and possible difficulties, so acting as road signs on the spiritual journey. The real worth of numerological analysis is in its capacity to highlight personal patterns and tendencies, so enabling people to deliberately work with their natural spiritual energies instead of being merely influenced by them. Lighting roads. Investigating particularly significant birth dates. In many different traditions, some birth dates have particular spiritual meaning and carry different energetic imprints that might affect a person's spiritual path. Starting the Gregorian calendar on January 1st connects with ideas of leadership and initiation. Born on this day, those who are naturally inclined to start new cycles and motivate others to welcome fresh starts often show innovative energies. Numerologically reducing to 1, these people often show great uniqueness and the capacity for starting radical changes. Only once every 4 years, February 29th gives its rare bearers unique spiritual potential, often connected with increased intuition and psychic ability. This odd date is sometimes feeling out of step with traditional time cycles. Leap year babies may find themselves especially sensitive to subtle energies and have a different view of life. Along with the spring equinox in the Northern Hemisphere, March 21st marks the astrological new year and the start of Aries season. Born on this date, people often carry the vitality of rebirth and renewal and are naturally positioned to guide others across phases of change and fresh development. Their birth fits the sun's arrival into Aries, so arming them with initiative and bravery to follow fresh routes. In numerology, April 11th lowers to the master number 11, signifying great spiritual insight and enlightenment possibility. Those born on this date may show themselves as natural visionaries or inspirational leaders and often report strong links to higher realms of consciousness. The vibration of their birth date usually supports spiritual leadership skills and easy growth. The repeating number pattern of May 5th resonates with ideas of metamorphosis and change. Those born on this date usually show amazing flexibility and adventurous energy, which often acts as impetus for both personal and group development. Their vitality inspires others to welcome change and follow spiritual development across wider horizons and fresh experiences. The longest day of the year and the sun's arrival into Cancer come on June 21st, the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. Those born on this date often have natural nurturing skills and shine in helping others' spiritual growth by emotional understanding and care. For those looking for emotional healing and stability, their birth date's energy fits ideas of light, growth, and sustenance, so guiding them spiritually. Given 7 is usually regarded as a mystical number in many traditions. July's 7th's double sevens produce a strong spiritual resonance. Born on this date, people often exhibit natural inclination for spiritual studies and practices, driven to esoteric knowledge and metaphysical inquiry. Their birth date's oscillation helps one to reflect deeply and conduct spiritual research, so guiding them as possible wisdom keepers. Though on a spiritual level, this translates to the ability to effect good change using earthly resources. August 8th's repeating 8's carry strong energy related to power and material success. Born on this date, those who find themselves called to use their material success for greater good will be balancing earthly successes with spiritual obligation. The vibration of their birth date supports manifestation connected with spiritual values. September 9th, shortened to 9, speaks to humanitarian service and completion cycles. Those born on this date sometimes feel driven to share spiritual knowledge or act compassionately toward others. Their birth date's energy supports endings that lead to new beginnings, so acting as natural agents of transformation and spiritual evolution. The drop to 1 in October 10th, and its place in the 10th month point to the possibility to start fresh spiritual teachings or cycles. Those born on this date could show themselves as spiritual field innovators able to start fresh approaches to ancient wisdom while keeping basic values. The vibrations of their birth date support spiritual leadership. November 11th has especially great spiritual importance since its quadruple ones form the master number 1111. Those born on this date often describe strong links between the physical and spiritual domains, usually undergo spiritual awakenings or act as light workers. The energy of their birth date supports great spiritual insights and the capacity to link many levels of consciousness. December 21st, the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, speaks to ideas of rebirth from shadows. Those born on this date often have natural aptitudes to help others negotiate difficult times towards spiritual illumination. Their birth date's energy fits transformation cycles, which helps people negotiating personal darkness toward more light to be effective mentors. These dates are only a sample of spiritually important birth dates. Each one has particular energetic qualities that might affect a person's spiritual direction. These dates don't predetermine one's path, even if they provide fascinating insights on possible spiritual gifts or challenges. Every day has spiritual meaning. Those born on any date can start important spiritual journeys. The real test of spiritual relevance is not birth date, but rather on daily choices one makes throughout their life. Acknowledging your spiritual responsibility. Indices of choice. Finding your spiritual calling calls for awareness of minute but recurring patterns in your daily life. Strong intuitive skills that regularly show accuracy are among the most consistent signs. These could indicate a deeper spiritual connection if you routinely feel gut sensations that later show up as truth, or if you routinely run across déjà vu events that seem more like confirmation than accident, usually arriving unbidden. These simple hits offer unambiguous direction in decision-making or warning of possible obstacles ahead. Another important indication of spiritual choice is empathy. Those with enhanced empathic sensitivity absorb and evaluate others' emotions as though they were their own, not merely see them. This can show up as feeling overwhelmed in packed environments, having physical reactions to others' suffering, or knowing exactly what someone needs emotionally before they say so. Sometimes to the point of tiredness if they haven't learnt appropriate energetic limits. Natural sympathies find themselves acting as emotional anchors for friends and family. Often accompany spiritual, awakening vivid dreams and prophetic visions. These are rich, detailed experiences that imprint themselves long after waking, not common dreams. They might offer direct communication from higher realms, clarity on present events, or symbolic messages about future ones. Some people claim dreams that exactly foretell future events or provide answers for difficult problems. Regular occurrence of these dreams that prove significant points to a more spiritual awareness. For those on a spiritual road, synchronicities, meaningful coincidences defying logical explanation, often become more frequent. These could show up as repeated number sequences, like 1111 or 333, where the same symbols show up often or as the appropriate person at exactly the right moment. Unlike chance, these synchronicities seem deliberate and usually direct people toward their next phases in spiritual growth. Watch how these trends show up in your life and consider the messages they could be delivering. Whether physical, emotional, or energetic, natural healing ability often point to a chosen spiritual role. While some people find their words regularly soothing and healing emotional wounds, others find they can reduce pain by touch. People may naturally seek them out during trying circumstances, then report feeling lighter or more hopeful following interactions. These healing abilities may show themselves more dramatically through spontaneous remissions following their intervention, or more gently through listening skills that enable others process trauma. Another telling indication is a lifetime love of spiritual concerns and metaphysical ideas. If you have always been drawn to investigate the nature of reality itself, learn ancient wisdom traditions, or explore the secrets of consciousness, this ongoing curiosity may point to a more profound goal. Many of the selected people say they felt different from childhood and since they were meant for something different from traditional routes, often accompanying a strong sense of mission or purpose that endures despite outside events, is this sense of not quite fitting in. Unexplained events challenging logical explanation can also indicate spiritual selection. These might be experiences with non-physical entities, natural visionary states, or powers outside of scientific comprehension. Often accompanying these experiences is improved sensitivity to energies, environments, or even food vibrations. Some people say they see auras, experience energy changes, or know things without thinking clearly. Although at first these events can be disturbing, when handled with openness and sensibility, they usually result in great spiritual development. Recall, these metrics do not function as checkboxes to confirm spiritual choice. Rather, they show possible road signs pointing toward more thorough investigation. Although the presence of several of these indicators would point to a closer spiritual connection, their absence does not discount one's spiritual path. Real appreciation of being chosen results from consistent patterns of experience mixed with real commitment to spiritual development and service. Accepting free will, the dynamic interplay of choice and destiny. The idea of being chosen has to be carefully balanced with the great power of free will to produce a dynamic dance between premeditated potential and conscious choice. Birth dates, astrological charts, and numerological profiles all point to particular inclinations or tendencies, but they never prescribe an unchanging road. Your spiritual path is still firmly anchored in your capacity for choice. That is, in your capacity to see possibilities, grow latent potentials, or plot totally different paths. This basic truth honors the particular energetic imprint of your birth and releases you from any sense of predestined. Think of musical instruments. Your birth date might decide whether you are born a violin or a piano, but it is up to you whether you want to perform classical music, jazz, or stay silent. The spiritually important date of your birth offers a certain resonance, a particular range of notes you can play, but the melody of your life is still totally within your control. While another person, born on an ordinary date, could achieve great spiritual mastery by committed practice and conscious choice, someone born under apparently fortunate circumstances could choose to completely ignore their spiritual potential. The ultimate equalizer in spiritual growth is free will. It lets people born on any date transcend supposed limitations or fulfill their potential. Neither is someone born on a common Tuesday limited from achieving spiritual greatness, nor is the rare leap year baby guaranteed enlightenment just by virtue of their birth date. Every morning offers a fresh chance for exercise of choice, to meditate or not, to serve others or concentrate just on personal benefit, to investigate spiritual teachings or stick firmly in material interests. More than any birth date arrangement, these daily choices add up to shape the direction of one's spiritual path. In spiritual development, the interaction of choice and potential produces an amazing paradox. Although your birth date may point to specific natural talents or challenges, your conscious choices will decide whether these seeds sprout and grow. Someone with a numerological profile suggesting great leadership potential, for example, might decide to hone these skills by means of service-oriented work or squander them in pursuit of only selfish goals. Likewise, someone whose chart shows possible empathic challenges could either let these sensitivities become sources of suffering and withdrawal or grow into healing gifts. Real spiritual development results from conscious alignment of free will with higher goal. This means deliberately deciding to interact with your spiritual potential instead of waiting for it to show up automatically. It's about consistent self-examination to see if your decisions line up with your highest goals and strongest values. The ability of free will helps you to turn suggested potentials into actual skills and to translate theoretical gifts into useful service. Whether your birth date is historically regarded as spiritually important or not, your capacity for spiritual development is unbounded only by your will to practice deliberate choice in service of your highest good. Awakening your gifts, workable routines for spiritual mastery. Starting the path of developing your spiritual gifts calls for dedication to methodical practice and deliberate cultivation. The foundation of spiritual growth is meditation, which provides a direct road to silence, mental chatter, and reach of deeper intuitive wisdom. Start with just 5 minutes and progressively extend the daily meditation session. Emphasize seeing ideas free from attachment so that insights might come to light organically. Incorporate visualizing techniques to link with higher guidance and investigate several states of consciousness as your practice deepens. Mindfulness practice extends awareness into daily activities, so complementing meditation. Learn to really live in every moment, that of eating, walking, or conversing. This increased awareness of subtle energies sharpens your sensitivity and improves your intuitive situational reading capacity. Start with simple mindfulness activities like concentrating entirely on the sensation of washing your hands or carefully tasting every meal bite. Increase this awareness gradually to cover whole events, observing how energy changes in different settings and interactions. Methodical research of spiritual traditions helps avoid misreading of spiritual events and offers necessary background for your experiences. Approach learning with an open but discriminating mind. Investigate many ideas without dogmatic attitude. Keep a reading list combining modern spiritual teachings with ancient wisdom books. Track trends and insights over time, noting in great detail ideas that really speak to you. To share ideas with others on like paths, join discussion groups or internet forums. For your spiritual development, journaling functions as both active processing tool and record-keeping tool. Set aside a specific notebook to record dreams, simple impressions, synchronicities, and personal ideas. Review notes often define trends and monitor your development. Create a morning page habit whereby you write 3 pages of stream of consciousness ideas upon waking to clear mental clutter and open deeper insights. Noting their accuracy and results, record any psychic impressions or intuitive hits. Reiki, Qigong, or yoga, among other energy techniques, help balance your personal energy field and improve your sensitivity to subtle energies. Beginning with simple Qigong motions or feeling energy between your palms, work on fundamental exercises. Try several modalities to see which most speaks to your natural tendencies. Regular practice improves your awareness of and control of energy in others as well as in yourself. To hone your abilities and knowledge, think about formal instruction in energy healing techniques. Nature opens your energetic awareness and grounds your spiritual development in the physical world. Regularly spend time in natural environments practicing sensory awareness and energy exchange with plants, animals, and landscape features. Discover how various surroundings influence your attitude and energy level by learning to read the subtle language of nature. Use anchors for meditation and energy work, specific trees, bodies of water, or other natural elements. Look for possible messages from the natural world in animal encounters and weather patterns. While fostering compassion and humility, selfless service offers useful application for honing spiritual gifts. Work as a volunteer, coach others, or just do sporadic acts of kindness. See how helping others influences your own consciousness and energy. Note any psychic impressions or intuitive direction that develops in these exchanges. Maintaining a service diary will help you to record events, observations, and personal development brought about by supporting others. Recall that actual service comes naturally from abundance, not from obligation. By offering disciplined frameworks for interpreting psychic impressions, divination tools like tarot or I Ching can hasten natural development. Choose a system that speaks to you and promise consistent practice. Approach readings with real intention instead of entertainment. Emphasize on improving your intuitive interpretation skills and use these tools mostly for self-reflection and direction instead of fortune-telling. Examine the symbolism and meanings of cards or hexagrams to help you to grasp universal patterns and archetypes. Affirmations and intentional setting techniques support your conscious mind to be in line with higher purpose and strengthen good ideas about your spiritual capacity. Create daily repetitious, personal affirmations reflecting your real spiritual goals. Combining these with visualizing strategies will help to increase their influence. Before meditation, energy work, or divination readings, practice establishing clear intentions and see how well focused intention shapes results. Create a morning ritual with affirmations, intentions, and Thanksgiving exercises to start your day deliberately. Community involvement gives support, responsibility, and chances for group learning. Search local spiritual centers, internet groups, or specialized retreats for like-minded people. Engage actively in group practices, seminars, and conversations to widen your viewpoint and deepen your knowledge. Choose carefully whom you trust for your spiritual growth so that community involvement stays encouraging rather than constrictive. Though community support is great, keep in mind that your spiritual road is only yours to travel. Living your spiritual legacy, acting to embody higher purpose. Acknowledging your spiritual gifts entails great responsibility that goes beyond personal awakening. Real spiritual leadership shows up as relentless devotion to service, moral living, and raising of the collective consciousness. Those who respond to the call to higher purpose know that their skills exist not for personal aggrandizement, but rather as means of improving mankind. This insight calls for constant self-examination and character development to make sure that, even in the face of temptation or difficulty, behavior conforms with claimed spiritual values. Real spiritual leaders show their dedication by regular, modest service that puts the development of others above their own. They know that real spiritual power comes from shown integrity rather than stated authority. From how they approach problems to how they treat strangers, this shows in daily decisions reflecting compassion, wisdom, and selflessness. Their lives start to be living models of spiritual ideas and action, motivating others by means of embodied rather than declared values. The obligations of spiritual leadership go beyond personal behavior to include proactive service to the common good. This could call for instruction, mentoring, healing, or design of systems to support the spiritual development of others. Good spiritual leaders understand the need of building sustainable systems that keep helping others long after they are no more physically present. They commit time to groom successors and produce tools that democratize access to spiritual knowledge, so ensuring that their influence grows and multiplies. For those realizing their spiritual gifts, ethical living takes front stage. This covers not only clear moral decisions, but also minute choices on responsible use of spiritual powers. It means honoring people's autonomy in their spiritual paths, keeping confidentiality when handling personal information of others, and avoiding manipulation even if one has good intentions. Real spiritual responsibility calls for awareness of when to step in and when to let natural events to develop. A hallmark of real spiritual involvement is ongoing personal development. Understanding that spiritual development never reaches ultimate completion, dedicated people keep strict routines that challenge their comfort zones and increase their capacities. They welcome needed corrections, seek helpful criticism, and keep open to learning from many sources. This commitment to personal development guarantees that their service stays pertinent, efficient, and based on current knowledge instead of becoming fixed in past successes. Living one's spiritual legacy ultimately means including greater awareness into everyday activities. From business to personal relationships, every interaction becomes a chance to practically express spiritual values. This all-encompassing approach weaves higher consciousness into the fabric of daily life, so avoiding the compartmentalization of spiritual life from ordinary existence. Spiritual success is measured not in grand gestures of power, but in the total effect of many little, deliberate decisions taken with love and knowledge. Inviting your reflection, share your spiritual path. We cordially invite you to actively contribute to this study of spiritual relevance. Have you found synchronicities or patterns linked to your birth date that seem to direct your spiritual development? Maybe you have had times of great insight or come across obstacles that finally result in notable spiritual development. Your personal narrative might offer others negotiating their own paths insightful analysis. In the comments below, share your experiences, including how your birth date or other important events have shaped your spiritual growth. Were you pulled to specific spiritual practices or traditions that connected with the energetic signature of your birth date? Have you come across unusual talents or confronted particular difficulties that fit the spiritual meaning of your birth date? Subscribe to our channel and turn on alerts to keep informed on upcoming spiritual explorations for people looking for more knowledge. Our next videos will explore advanced spiritual techniques, historical case studies of spiritually important people, and useful applications of astrological and numerological insights. View the recommended films accompanying this presentation to learn more on related subjects, including thorough studies of particular birth dates and their spiritual connotations. Recall, the road of spiritual development depends on group inquiry and common knowledge. Your contributions to this conversation help to produce a better tapestry of knowledge for every participant. Your viewpoint adds value to our group's research of birth dates and spiritual significance regardless of your level of spiritual practice experience or just beginning of exploration of these ideas.